Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday morning, and I just got out of the Mass, and I figured I'll do a little teaching from some of the verses that they mentioned just 20 minutes ago. I was going to go to a store, we call them Stripes here in Texas, and get a cup of coffee, which I did, and 3 packs of cigarettes. But there's one right down the street from the church. It's got to be maybe 3 blocks total. So I normally go another way, but I said, I'm going to come down this area. I said, I'll risk it because the way, when you're disorganized in your city, it shows in every area, every department, whether it's police. So I thought, let me take a shot because to go 3 blocks downtown, with all the construction, all the block streets, I probably went about 25 blocks. Kid you not. And I thought, should I even try and do it? So they got the streets blocked, and then each street is one way, and then I turned right, went down, it's one way again, you got to go all the way. And they're trying to develop downtown. And a lot of businesses went out of business because it's impossible to get to their business. So I did it. I did the whole turn. I'll talk a minute about, I was going to teach a little on I had a study going in the past, I might mention it, on the classics of Western literature. I've done that over the years, just like quick book reviews of, the literature that's very famous. So I might do a little of that. I watched the news yesterday, and there was a case that upset me again. And I was not familiar with it, but they just ruled on it. There was a kid, he was 18 years old. I'm not even sure the state. I might try to repost it along with this teaching. And he was passing up a cop at night, and the cop had his high beams on. And the kid, this is common in some states, I guess wherever this happened, it's a death penalty. So the kid flashed his high beams to let the cop know he had his high beams on. Well, the cop, I don't even know if it's legal to pull somebody over, to murder them for that. The cop didn't like that. And you can hear, I saw the video on the news, I'm watching the news yesterday, and you can hear the boy on the video, he was 17, I think, or 18. He's scared. And he says, no, honest, he says, you had your high beams on. It was a courtesy. Well, that cop wound up tasing him and shooting him 8 times in the back and murdering that kid. So it finally went, the reason it was on the news, the judge ruled the cop did everything fine. Is that righteous judgment? I had a friend of mine many years ago, Richard, in Kingsville. And he married a girl that had problems. She used to stay at one of the homes here for girls, troubled girls, and Brother Roloff, a Baptist minister, had homes for girls. And her name was Karen, and Richard married Karen because he wanted a wife. He's married today, I haven't seen him in years, to somebody else. But Karen, one night I went to Richard's house in Kingsville. We were friends. We all went to a Baptist church together. And Karen had pulled a knife on Richard. And I was there. And I grabbed her. Nice. But I grabbed her from behind. I said, from the front, actually, she had the knife, but then I got behind her. I said, honey, you got to drop the knife. What was I, 19 years old, 20? Is it possible to diffuse any situation without murdering people? And I saw the picture of the officer, and it looked suspicious only, and didn't even follow this case, because he had old bruises on his face. But I saw the arrest and the killing. It was on the video. It didn't look like... How quick does it take them to either hit themselves or... My view is that these guys are criminals. And the family finally, nice family, to show the picture of the mom and dad and sister. Now they got to bring a civil suit because the judge said all of that was totally acceptable. Murdering that kid for flashing his high beams. know, there's a lot of problems in the world. One of the first countries that we referred to years ago now is the Arab Spring. Arab Spring was the protest that rose up. It started in Tunisia. And how did it start? They were oppressing. The police in Egypt and Tunisia and all were very oppressive. And they kept oppressing a street merchant, trying to make him pay for money and kickbacks and all. And he lit himself on fire. That's called self-immolation. And it sparked, as a matter of fact, the Nobel Peace Prize didn't go to John Kerry. He was hoping to get it for the Iran thing, nuclear accord. It went to the Tunisian government because they managed. It just went to them like last week. But that Tunisian street merchant, he sacrificed himself. And that sparked what was called the Arab Spring. It's not the Arab Spring anymore. They hoped it would maybe be a revolution in nations to get rid of, freedom for some of the younger people, and they all want that. But there was a king, leader of Egypt for many years, Hosni Mubarak, and he was look at this cigarette. My homeless friends would call that a snipe, big one. So, we backed the ouster of the Egyptian leader by the name of Hosni Mubarak. But what was the main complaint? I don't know if you know that. It was that the police were abusive. That was really it. That the security forces of the Egyptian leader, Hosni Mubarak, they didn't respect the rights of people. And so we backed his toppling. And then Morsi got elected, the first democratically elected leader of Egypt ever, but he was a part of the Muslim Brotherhood. And then eventually they had a military coup. The people in charge of Egypt now, Morsi was not good for the Christians there because he was trying to establish somewhat of a Muslim constitution. But either way, the point I'm making is we decided not that we were going to pour in money, which we do, into Egypt in order to retrain all their police officers. No, we said they're so bad, we're just going to overthrow. We're going to back the overthrow of the actual leader of the country, Hosni Mubarak, because the cops are real bad. You can see it like that. And I saw this thing, that kid, he flashed the headlights as a courtesy because the cop had his high beams on, who led to his murder. It was 2 bullets, or I think he shot him 7 times in the back. Those of you that are involved in that, you do not have an honorable profession. That is dishonorable what you do. That is dishonorable what you do. And all the stuff for many years that I wrote about, and the friends of mine that have seen you guys involved in criminal activity, and they're scared. They're scared to speak because they see how quickly you switch to criminal activity. Now let me talk a little bit. The verses from the Mass were Hebrews 4, Mark 10, and Isaiah 53, just 30 minutes ago. Hebrews 4 was, we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities, but was tempted in all points just like us, yet he's without sin. Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. So that's Hebrews. Jesus suffered in every way that we suffer. And he can identify, have empathy, because he was tempted in every way, but never sinned. That's the difference. The perfect sacrifice, perfect man, perfect God. And the story in Mark 10 was when the disciples said to Jesus, James and John said, we desire something of you. What is it, guys? We want to sit at your right hand and on your left in your kingdom. Jesus said, can you drink the cup that I drink of, and can you be baptized with the baptism that I'm baptized with? He's talking about his suffering there. They said, yes. He says, you all going to experience it. You all going to be baptized with my baptism of suffering. You're going to drink this. You're going to go through stuff, guys. He said, but to sit on my right hand and on my left is not mine to give, but that's the choice of the Father. The other disciples were mad. What? You were asking to be in charge? And Jesus told them, the Gentiles, or he was saying the way the world works, the way authority works in the world, success, is you rule over other people. You say, how successful are you? I'm in charge, I'm this, I'm that. He said, but in the kingdom it's not that way. He said, he that is the servant is going to be the greatest. He says, I'm among you as one who serves. I'm your Lord and Master, and I'm here as one who serves. And then Isaiah 53, which I've been quoting. There was a couple of verses they used, but I've been quoting a lot of the chapter the last month. When you will make his soul an offering for sin, he will see his seed, the pleasure of the Lord will prosper in his hand. It was just a reference to the sacrifice of Jesus. So those were the three verses. The Nietzsche thing that I was going to do was, and it's funny because Nietzsche, I've been talking about philosophers and thinkers, and I'm going to have to look real quick at this because I cannot remember, no matter how many times I look at the book I wanted to mention, I cannot remember the title. And look, I can remember the titles of a lot of them. It's because I think it's Flight from the Idols. But it's because he was an atheist. Nietzsche was one that I mentioned Voltaire the other day. Let me see, the title of the thing I wanted to talk, Twilight of the Idols. But Nietzsche lived in the 1800s, died, I believe, right in 1900. And this is considered classic Western literature, even though Christians would not put it in that category, but in literature it is, because he challenged two things in that book. The idols that he wanted to smash were the idol of God in his mind, but also the high-class culture. I talked about Marx the other day, a lot of these men actually saw they saw that there was a caste system, others above others, and they wanted to correct that. They didn't have a lot of good solutions to correct it, but some of them did, even the ones that were atheists. But Nietzsche said, and this is very common in our day, but it was just developing his philosophy back then, what we would refer to as relativism, where you would deny objective truth. But he did it with a vengeance. And Nietzsche basically said he was the son of a Lutheran minister, I believe. And initially he was just like Marx, actually. I believe Marx, if I get it right, Marx's family had to kind of convert to a Protestant religion, a Lutheranism. Even though obviously they're not Christian, but his father had to do that in order to do business. I believe it was Marx, and Marx remembered that his father had to convert to a Christian religion simply to survive, so his father's business could survive. And a lot of these men that we now know later on, whether atheists or espousing atheism, they had experiences. But Nietzsche was going to train to be, a minister as well. But then he rejected, and he became a scholar at Basel University, I believe. And then he began challenging. And why did he see God as an idol? He said morality is against nature. It's against sinful nature. But he said morality was against nature. And when Nietzsche disagreed with Socrates and the other thinkers that we studied in the past, because they believed that reason and improvement and morality were a goal for man to achieve. And Nietzsche, sort of like Freud, said, actually, there is no such thing. There's no such thing as morality, Nietzsche said. This is common today. Words also have no real meaning. Words are just an artistic expression of power. In that book that I just mentioned, Flight of the Odyssey, he talks about the Superman, but he basically taught a philosophy or a belief that there's really no right and wrong. And whatever we say is right and wrong. Those are simply words. They're artistic words that if people have the power to back it up, that's what makes it right or wrong. But there's no objective truth. So, if, according to him, the church and religion said murder is wrong and adultery is wrong and all these things are wrong, if they had the power to implement that whole transition to try to get government away from state and separation of church and state, which we're very familiar with in our country, but it was very mixed back in those days. So Nietzsche was saying the reason a lot of people have guilt is because they're told certain things are wrong. But morality, there really is no morality. See, morality violates the law of nature, the law of sinful nature. And so if people are not taught, by the church, by society, that things are wicked and wrong and sinful, you can do it. I remember I was visiting my mom in New Jersey a few years ago. The weather's nice now, by the way. But she wanted me to watch a movie. She likes the old classic movies. And I forget the name of it. But I sat and watched it. It was a very old movie. And it was about these two college students. I believe it's a true story. And they killed a boy. And they tortured some kid, killed him. And as they finally solved the crime, as throughout the movie, they found like the glasses, the sunglasses or eyeglasses of the guy who did it. And that was the part that my mom said, can you believe that? The glasses, John, I said, yeah, that's interesting, Mom, that he got caught that way. But during the movie, it wasn't about that. But that's okay, because it was actually about this that I'm discussing. And I watched it, I said, oh, these kids were in one of these philosophy classes in some university. And they were taught there's no such thing as morality. And I'm watching this old classic movie and I'm saying, this movie's about those who embraced that nihilistic view. There's no meaning to life. There's nothing right or wrong. So the murder of that child, that philosophy that they were learning, those kids who committed that crime, it said to kill is just an act. There's nothing behind that. The words, thou shalt not kill, are simply words. They have no real meaning. They're just artistic expressions of things. So when I was done watching that movie with my mom, I tried to explain some of that. I said, no, this movie was about the effect that worldview had on those kids, on those students. This movie was not about really how they caught the criminal because his glasses somehow were found at the scene. I said it was about how worldviews, the way we think, the things we embrace, they affect us. And one of the kids, two of them were involved. I believe this is a true story. Back in the early 1900s it happened. But one of the kids in the movie was portrayed as having no conscience, but the other kid in the movie suffered severe guilt. So that was a very good portrayal, a real life story of how Nietzsche died at the age of 55 in 1900, and he went insane. But he taught that there really is no truth. There really is no foundation. And anybody that is trying to struggle to improve, which was what Socrates and the others taught when we taught that, Nietzsche said that's where the problems are coming from, because we're imposing a morality that does not exist. But he said at the end of that book, he said there is no truth, there's no morality, unless God is real. Unless God is real. Then Nietzsche says, then I'm wrong. We all are going to give an account. Scripture says, every man will give an account of the things that he has done in his body, whether it's good or whether it's bad. And there certainly is morality. And Nietzsche was correct when he said the commands of God, the commands of the commandments, they have no force unless God is real. See, but he failed the wager, Pascal's wager, because God is real. He's found it out now. So today, beautiful day, quote those few verses. I could have, there was no plan to do a regular teaching, but it's so nice, the weather's nice. I could run some errands, do a few things, so I figured I'd do this. Look at those verses maybe that I quoted, read those chapters. I want to bless you guys. The Lord bless you. I still haven't memorized. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord makes his face to shine upon you. The Lord be gracious unto thee, and the Lord give you peace.